Hey, a number of people have been written stuff about this. There was something I tried to take a look at. I think it was in the Atlantic that commented on an opinion piece in the Washington Post. Why can't we hate men? Picture of Harvey Weinstein by Suzanna Danuta Walters. Suzanna Danuta Walters, a professor of sociology, of course, no, and director of the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program, which of course is very, very important at Northeastern University. Oh, yeah. One of those, like, super, like, prestigious schools. Um, okay. It's not that Eric Schneiderman, the now former New York Attorney General accused of abuse by multiple women, pushed me over the edge. My edge has been crossed for a long time. Before President Trump, before Harvey Weinstein, before mansplaining and incels, before live streaming sexual assaults and red pill men's groups and rape camps as a tool of war and the deadening banality of male prerogative. So let's see. Okay, so she's been pushed over the edge. Whatever that fucking means. I mean, so is she drinking? She's like smoking blunts. She's just like, I'm hitting the pipe. These niggas got me hitting the pipe. Um, is she starting to like? I mean, was she like a dude, and now, it's like it's some dude taking estrogen so that like he's even more like he's just going totally bananas and he's all getting all cancer and shit and titties and stuff. I mean, like what I mean, like what do you mean? Then let's see. Before, okay, so before Trump, so he says something on so if hot mic for which Billy Bush got fired because it turned out you can't do that. That him pulling the strings so he could pick through all these archives and then release it without NBC or whatever or whoever had rights to it. Yeah, Billy Bush didn't have rights to that shit, so he couldn't just go releasing that. He couldn't just go leaking it and stuff. So he got fucking fired or sued or both. And then on top of that, it was one of these things like everybody in their mother was like, oh, like everybody says worse than that. Like women constantly. I mean, like any conversation between women over drinks is far more lurid than that. So it was just one of those. It was pretty ridiculous. Him making fun of Rosie O'Donnell. Well, yeah, because I mean, Rosie O'Donnell's ugly and shrill, and really sucks. She just sucks. I mean, she just hasn't been funny for an extremely long time, and so it's just one of these things of no, this bitch sucks. So it's cool that he was talking shit because she was talking shit, he was talking shit, and he won. And so that's going to be a repeated thing here. Somebody came out on top, someone won that contest, and who was it? And I think we're going to see a repeated. I think we're going to see a pattern here about I don't like it. I don't like how that turned out. No, you should be giving me points, extra points. You're not allowed to have the ball for any more than like a count of 30, and then you have to give the ball to me. Then live streaming sexual assaults. Okay, so this is a good one. So it's before Muslims started live streaming sexual assaults from Europe, right? That's what we're talking about here. The Muslims who were raping a German, if I remember right, and that they could just do this on Facebook, and Facebook didn't do anything. Maybe the authorities did something, or was it was Brussels or Denmark or something? No, just some place where Muslims rape people all over. Just rape people, and the authorities are like, "Oh, I don't see my glasses. Oh, what do you mean? I don't understand this Facebook." Um, and then because they throw in then red pill men's groups, so really just a group of men who want to speak frankly to one another. Oh, no, 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 no! You can't say things. I'm a hen. I'm a little red hen, and I came to make sure you're behaving correctly. And then rape camps. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Never even heard of it. I think I heard somebody bring this up, but it really don't even fucking know what they're talking about. In this stuff that, like, I'm into men's shit. Don't know what that is. So, and then deadening banality of male prerogative, like rock and roll. Yeah, you're welcome, bitch. Seen in this indisputably true context, it seems logical to hate men. I can't lie, I've always had a soft spot for the radical feminist smackdown. Oh, like a little red hen watching other people do all the work. Believing that she's like really working hard, because that's how the world really is. Everyone comes to the little red hen. For naming because the little red hen's on a farm. How'd the farm even get there? For naming the problem in no uncertain terms, I've rankled at the "but we don't hate men" protestations of generations of would-be feminists. So yeah, because you're dysfunctional and you hate men. You're untalented, dysfunctional, and you hate men. That's why you're a sociology professor. And found the men are not the problem, the system is. Oh, the system. Like being employed by various companies throughout your life. Having to, like, retrain in various difficult fields. Because the only way you're going to pay the mortgage and get the kids through college is if you get a job that pays well, and that means you have to study something difficult. And found that men are not the problem. The system is obfuscation, too precious by half. Don't even fucking get that one. But of course, the criticisms of this blanket condemnation of men from transnational feminists who decry such glib universalism to U.S. women of color who demand an intersectional perspective are mostly on the mark. Okay. Oh, I get it. Don't be talking about my man that way. Don't you be talking about my son like that. Got it. These critics write, it's a system. The system made my son kill. These critics rightly insist on analysis of male power as institutional. There we go. Okay, the system made my son kill. He had to kill and then take the car because he needed a car so he could drive around. Not narrowly personal or individual or biologically based in male bodies. Growing movements to challenge a masculinity built on domination and violence and to engage boys and men in feminism are both gratifying and necessary. Please continue. And of course, what's interesting is she's talking now about red pill men's movements because men have been raised on feminism and are like, oh, this is a bunch of fucking little red hen bullshit. This is just communist bullshit, and we're being blamed for women not having the outcomes that a handful of communists think should be the sociopathic, possibly psychopathic, was it dark triad chicks who or just completely unfuckable. No one would ever marry them or fuck them, and so they get into a movement that allows for them to get everybody running in circles for them, and they're certain that they're the little red hen putting together the feast. If I remember, that's something like the story goes, something like that. But this recognition of the complexity of male domination, how different it could be in different parts of the world, how racism shapes it, should not, must not, mean we forget some universal facts pretty much everywhere in the world. This is true. Women experience sexual violence. Women are smaller. They're smaller and weaker. And the threat of that violence permeates our choices big and small. So I guess what this is that in some places, women fear crime. In other places, women don't fear crime because there's a lot of Europeans and their crime rate's relatively low. Yeah. In addition, male violence is not restricted to intimate partner attacks or sexual assault, but plagues us in the form of terrorism and mass gun violence. So, in the Islamic world, such as Pakistan, where there's a few bombings a day, mass gun violence, like, say, among black Americans, say, drive-by shootings, things like that, or like, say, Brazil, where there's lots of people who are relatively, like, a small percentage of mostly of European enclaves, like the I mean, because this doesn't even apply to China, really, to some degree. I mean, this doesn't apply to Korea, if I remember correctly. They have an extremely low violence, and so of course this is just wrong. And what she's trying to say is that because blacks and Latinos shoot each other a lot, and because Muslims blow each other to smithereens often, white men, white penis, find the nearest white penis and blame it. Women are underrepresented in higher wage jobs, local and federal government, business, educational, leadership, etc. So apparently, when the job requires long hours and a very high IQ, women don't want to do that. Wage inequality continues to permeate every economy and almost every industry. Women continue to provide far higher rates of unpaid labor in the home. That makes sense because no one would pay you to raise your own child. Child care, elder care, no one would pay you to take care of your own parents. Disabled individuals, I guess I'd be disabled family members. That too is why you have a thing called a family. Housework. So apparently to clean up after yourself is a job. And food provision. So so making dinner. That wives should be getting paid for this, apparently. And wage inequality, everybody knows that's actually that's not true. There's no mathematical. That's just simply bad economic econometrics, and it's not just bad. It's actually you have to have gone out of your way to do the work incorrectly to get this outcome, like women make less money because of white penis. They just don't. They leave the workforce in such great numbers that's just how it happens. Women have less access to education in the third world. Yes, particularly at the higher levels. Yes, in the third world there are fewer universities. Yes. Women have lower rates of property ownership. Yes, you have to get a lot of money to own property, and that typically means you have to get that high IQ, high risk, high amount of hours investment. This is 40 to 60 hours a week at least, so you could then buy property, or you inherit it, and then it means you have to maintain the property. You have to maintain ownership of it, and that's usually land taxes. Which you typically can be usually taken care of with a job that's a little above the average minimum wage. But I mean, you have to own the property. You have to buy it at some point, and that's a lot of money. And a lot of women are in debt from pursuing degrees like sociology and women's and gender studies that earn them very, very little money because they're not valuable skills. The list goes on. It varies by country, but these global realities of women's economic, political, social, and sexual vulnerabilities. So basically that if they were to become somebody's mom and stayed married, the outcome is that they live the longest, have the most wealth during retirement, are the happiest people in society, have the longest and best sex lives. No, they report the happiest sex lives. They have the lowest amount of all health problems, in fact, and are less likely to have violence occur to them because they've been married and have a family. It's just one of these weird things. It's just this weird correlation that is also causation that's just fascinating, and we've known about this now that decade after decade the data is showing this. Indeed, the nations in which these inequities have been radically minimalized, for example Iceland, e.g. Iceland, are those in which deliberate efforts has been made to both own up to gender disparities and to address them directly and concretely. I suppose, I guess, you know, I mean, this country is, I mean, that's one of the strangest examples you can give. That's really like giving Japan as some example of what people should do about something. You know, look at this homogeneous island. You know, as you see this very rare population that most of you will never encounter in your whole lives, you know, see how it's working in Sweden and France, you know, where it's like, you know, and you know, I see Sweden, I see France, I see Muslims running around without pants, you know. So in this moment, here in the land of legislative legitimate, okay, I guess legitimated toxic masculinity. I guess it's legitimate. I guess there's a thing that is toxic masculinity, and that it can be made legitimate by legislation, because I guess there's some law that you can do something that is toxically masculine. I guess. I mean, this apparently this person is that sane. You should pay her thousands of dollars so that she can teach you how to think better and write very well. For all the power of Me Too, of hashtag Time's Up, and the women's marches, so run by terrorists and somebody who raped a gay man to death with a knife or something like that. Only a relative, like literally, like great, yeah. Those are, that's, you know, it. How about you should talk about when the first wave shamed all those women out of prostitution. Only a relatively few men have been, or how about the second wave where they made sure that nobody was allowed to drink. that was the first wave as well, if I remember right. Yeah, that they got everybody, you know, to stop hitting the sauce because it was unladylike to drink. You know, women would be taken advantage of if people anywhere at any time were allowed to fucking drink. See, free will. Little Red Hen says no free will. Only relatively few men have been called to task. I've yet to see a mass wave prosecutions. It's called, did you call the cops? Oh. Have been called to task, and I've yet to see a mass wave prosecutions or even serious recognition of wrongdoing. Oh, it's called Operation Broken Heart. You should look it up. The thousands of pedophiles that have been rounded up. I think that's actually what you're looking for, because that's pretty toxic. See, when you look for criminal deviance and patterns of criminal deviance, such as people who commit drive-by shootings because the other people are wearing a color they don't like, that kind of thing. You know, or we want to deal heroin to the locals in this neighborhood, but you guys are dealing heroin to locals in this neighborhood, so we're going to shoot everything that moves. See, that kind of stuff, you know, that business, you know, when you're into looking that kind of thing up, and like the trafficking of women, because you see drugs have a shelf life, but, you know, money and whores kind of don't. And so that you could this is one of the key ways that people make sure to diversify their criminal enterprises. So, looking into stuff like this, you end up, really kind of knowing about who really becomes victim, and then what people can do. That people that the criminal deviants are like, oh no, but this whole region it's very difficult to set up criminal operations here because it's very difficult to find customers without detection. And you see, and that happens when you have a neighborhood that the children are accountable to a mother and father who make, say, dinner for them at a certain time, and everybody comes in and there's nobody outside. That you don't have a bunch of, say, teenagers wandering around, and young 20-somethings just wandering around, and because they're accountable to know it's a thing called a family, and the typical patterns of family life. When you see those neighborhoods, and you could literally look at the demographics, that it's like, oh, are there a lot of young women with children and no husbands? At some point soon, people will start shooting up the neighborhood to take over the criminal deviant enterprises, and sometimes just simply for the sake of committing violence. It's really toxic. It's like a cancer. And that's why the right wing prefers marriage and says welfare's bad and marriage is good. On the contrary, critics of witch hunt and the plotted resurrection of celebrity offenders came quick on the heels of the outcry over endemic sexual harassment and violence. But we're not supposed to hate them because hashtag not all men. I love Michelle Obama as much as the next woman, but when they have gone low for all of human history, I don't even know what that means. She totally lived like a baller, she lived like an out of control baller. And then oh God, that painting though, that was gold. That's so below standard. That's just beautiful, so beautifully ugly. Maybe it's time for us to go all Thelma and Louise, drive off a cliff, yes. And Foxy Brown, get a lot of work done on their collective butts. Foxy Brown, that's like one of those where it's like, wow, you really think pop culture is important? Literature, not so much. The world has little place for feminist anger. Women are supposed to support, not condemn, offer succor, not dismissal, except when they kill old people and children. Look it up. We're supposed to feel more empathy for your fear or of being called a harasser than we are for the women harassed. There's an interesting study that came out about which family members are the most difficult to deal with. The older and more female they are, the more difficult they are to deal with. They just makes everything really complicated and hard to do. It's really a fascinating thing. It was a fascinating study. We are told he's with us and hashtag not him, but truly if he were with us, wouldn't this all have ended a long time ago? Another interesting thing. Do you know when couples divorce kind of late in life, do you know the men will tend to just blow their heads off? Hang themselves, things like that. And then there's this other thing that when old women, when a guy's wife dies, he lasts almost only about 5 years afterward. When a man dies, like his wife, she'll live 20, 30 years. She'll get married a few more times. Fascinating. It's fascinating. It's almost as if evolution built one to do lots of work and secure order and make a pattern of order, the other to gestate and raise the young and really just kind of live a fabulous existence of caring for, of sort of being protected by this orderly patterned life that all this other type establishes and maintains. And then when he's gone, that she's left with all the offspring looking after her. You know, it's strange. It's strange that it seems as if this is like evolved. You know, it seems as if it's evolved. It seems as if because people lived such a short time up until recent memory, that really this is pretty much what a person's life was up until recent memory. Not getting lots of money to teach communism. Little red hen. If he really were with us, wouldn't he reckon that one good way to change structural violence and inequity be to refuse the power that comes with it? I would say he would give you a phone. Dang, I had my phone here. I would show you what it looks like so you can know what a phone looks like, and you could call 911 and be like, yeah, somebody's doing something criminal. They're being criminally deviant. Could you send the police? And then these guys will show up and they'll deal with this cat who's doing something that really shouldn't be happening. You know, especially in, say, like a European enclave of the world or the Eurosphere, because their crime rate's so low. So you should know, if violence is happening to you in the Eurosphere, you really do need to call the police, because this is very strange. So, men, if you really are with us and would like us to not hate you for all the millennia of woe you have produced and benefited from, start with this. Lean out so we can actually just stand up without being beaten down. Pledge to vote for feminist women only. Oh, that'll never happen. Don't run for office. Oh, you are smoking the pipe. Don't be in charge of anything. Oh, what? Leave it to you so that we'll all be in grass, we'll all be in thatch huts within a generation. Step away from power. Already did that. See what it's getting, the German ladies? See, Cologne, we got this. Oh, yeah. Dusseldorf, Malmo, Paris, Londonistan. And please know that your crocodile tears won't be wiped away by us anymore. No, you don't do that. You can't even make sandwiches. We have every right to hate you. You have done us wrong. Hashtag because patriarchy. It is long past time to play hard for team feminism and win. That's that last line. Oh my God, I'll leave it at that. Sorry if you just blew your joint out everywhere. I'm sorry, bro. Oh, dude, damn, dog. Yeah, hey, she wrote it, not me. All right. So, what was it? This was Suzanna Danuta Walters. June 8th. Why Can't We Hate Men? Opinion section, Washington Post. And I know it's like picking on a retard, you know, it's Washington Post opinion section, but you know, just had to, you know, it was just, you know, ting, 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 ting. Wow, that one, how'd I do that? You know, like, you know, just get it. This guy's like, take all the goddamn Cupid dolls you want, you know, shit. I hate this business. All right, later.